Kart racing games as a whole fall under 3 categories. 1. Being based on well-established video game characters such as Mario Kart and Crash Team Racing. 2. Being movie/show tie-ins in the same vein as Cars the video game, Ben 10 Galactic Racing, and oh god, Garfield Kart. Lastly, 3. Kart racing games that are just that. Kart racing games not based on any known IP. These are by far the rarest, and for good reason. Companies like to reuse well-known characters to hide the mediocre kart game underneath. Yet the first category seems to have the most consistently good titles. And the ideology of taking characters from an actual video game and pitting them against each other in a kart racing format is fine. It used to be considered novel. Nowadays, it's kind of the norm, but it's still a great idea. So let's take a look at the second category, the one whose entire reason for existing is flawed. The reason for those games existing isn't to make a unique time, it isn't to evolve the formula, it's to make a quick buck. Companies take popular characters like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and use them as marketing ploys to hide the unpolished and mediocrity underneath. The whole purpose of these games actually existing are to capitalize on a market that's already somewhat saturated in the hopes of making a quick buck. Yet, I just find that these often have great ideas, but are half-baked. Look at Nickelodeon Kart Racers. They have so many amazing characters to choose from. And for some reason, they only represent 4 shows and have a bunch of fluff characters. The best example of this is Mario Kart 8's character selection. See, the problem though is that game has tons of cool characters to supplement the reskins. Yet this game, Nickelodeon Kart Racers, just has 4 shows and only 2 of them are relevant to today's media. Not to say that those other 2 shouldn't be incorporated in the game, I'm just saying if you had to only pick 4, pick the 4 most popular and relevant ones by today's standard. And the potential of a kart racer featuring Nickelodeon IPs is enormous, but it's just so cheap looking, playing, feeling, everything, and overall just so cash grabby. Other examples of these styled of lazy games include Ben 10 Galactic Racing, which just runs terrible on a DS, by the way. If you want 15 frames, go check that out. Garfield Kart, despite the user reviews, and Kart Racing. They focus way too much on the short term. They could make $1 million today, or they could make $100 million tomorrow. But they just don't wait. You could spend time developing and making a great game that is beloved by fans of the series, but it just isn't. Because they want nothing else to make a quick buck. If they put half as much care and attention into the game as went into the source material, they would have something special. These brands that these games used to market themselves are great, and they can translate very well into a video game, and their fans will like it because they're just a fan of the series, and if they want to play a video game like it, they will buy it. But I'm a fan of SpongeBob, I'm a fan of Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, but I'm not picking this game up. It isn't a game that I want to play. And now you should say don't judge a game before you play it, but I'm just going off the general consensus here, because most people agree that this isn't a game that should be played. It isn't a game that should have been made. It is a game that has a good idea, but it isn't executed well in the slightest. Kart racing games don't have to be bad. They could be a really cool type of tie-in game, but they just don't seem interested in that. Lastly, just for funsies, let's try and make our own kart racing games, and let's say it's based off M&M's, like M&M's Kart Racing. First, I see a character selection screen with nothing too memorable going on, just allowing someone to play as the main cast of M&M characters with a couple of unlockables, just to keep things fresh, is enough. They will each have their own abilities though, just like in Double Dash. For example, Caramel M&M, because that's what I'm calling him, could be able to drop caramel on the tracks, slowing down other racers. Speaking of tracks, this game will have some truly memorable ones. From inside an M&M factory to racing in the galaxy atop the M&M gods in a Rainbow Road-esque style track, I see this game really focusing on unique locations. Each track should have a specific atmosphere and feel going on within it. There doesn't need to be a ton of tracks though. I could see just 8 to 10 truly great ones working well. There's 2 final aspects of this game though that would need to be fully brought to their potential. gameplay, of course, and quote-unquote adventure mode. And I kind of guess you could say graphics are kind of important, but let's be real here, they're not really. Gameplay is, though.
If it's not fun, why bother?
Exactly. It needs to be a good mix of chaotic and funny, yet also strategic and well thought out. Along with each specific character ability, I would like to see loads of items unique to the M&M universe. There could be funny visual gags too while you're trying to use them, such as a wrapper that you would act as a red shell and hunt down enemies to wrap them up and maybe either impair their vision or just stop them for a couple of seconds. Perhaps both. There's not a ton to talk about here though, besides just wanting the controls to be really tight and responsive, drifting to work flawlessly, and just, other basics types to make a good kart racing game. And finally, an adventure mode. What I want from this is to have them lean really heavily into it being an M&M game. Look at that trailer and that funny little ad for M&M's at the beginning of the movie theater. Look at that. That just has so much charm and it's oozing with personality. Because that's how M&M is positioning their brand going on in the future. They're just that funny little ironic piece of advertisement. And if they really lean into that hard in here, it could differentiate it from other types of car racers. All I really want, though, is just a couple of hilarious cutscenes and nothing too much more. So the defining characteristic of this game would it being an M&M game, as I've previously said. Not trying to be something that it's not, but leaning heavily into the actual source material. In IGN's review of the actual M&M kart racer, they said, and I quote, "Commercial mascots make terrible video games, and that the game barely uses the license at all," end quote. It doesn't have to be this way, and given the budgets of these brands, it's a choice, not a must. They have the option to make these games that will be great and go down in history as a truly memorable experience. Look at SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. That wasn't a cash grab. That was a truly great game that people loved around the world because it was a good game. Not a good SpongeBob tie-in, but all around just a good game by its own merits. That's what this needs to be, but it does need to have and really emphasize on that M&M brand. Or at least that's what I think. I could just be wrong, and Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 will be the best thing ever just because it is a Nickelodeon Kart Racers game.